Well, let's call the meeting to order. This meeting of Park City Board of Education, Tuesday, April 18th, 3:02 p.m. Starting the pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I will entertain a motion and development partners to discuss. Let's see what we have here on the list. We have pending litigation or just negotiations.
Land.
Okay, so discuss lease or purchase of land and personnel negotiations.
Make a motion to go into closed session.
Second. All right. I'll just ask your names if you approve. Nick?
Yes.
Meredith?
Yes.
And Andrew, yes. Okay, we'll go to closed and then we'll come back out here. I figure we may as well start because Wendy Yeah, I know this stuff. It's gonna have such a huge impact on it that
Yeah,
anything we go into now is kind of. It's gonna be moot soon enough, right?
yeah.
Yes. Yeah, well, yeah. But I can maybe use it or something.
Yeah.
Grass flies.
Yeah. Like the swimming, things like that.
Yeah.
What's up? Actually, no, it's good. Sure.
Lori. Lori. Oh, God. I'm the superman.
Yeah, scan.
Sure.
What do you think? It's good.
Go back in.
What are you saying?
Yeah, I think you have to log on.
Saying I have skills for something hard. Oh, yeah, okay.
You see that?
Yeah, I see it now. I had to log in again, sorry. Pilot error. Okay, we will start with 3.01, consent agenda. I'll entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda, which includes the following. Regular session minutes of March 21st, closed session minutes of March 21st. Account payable registers of March 3rd, 4th, 15th, 22nd, 23rd, 28th, April 1st, 5th, 10th. Travel requests, land trust, GSSA plan approvals, personnel information, March revenues and expenditures, and then municipal services. Agreements.
I made the motion to accept the consent agenda as stated. The second.
Okay, do we have any discussion on any of the consent items today?
No.
All those in favor of approving the consent agenda, please say aye.
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 Thank you. We will go into 4.01 employee group reports. Jan, do you remember?
It's James Mary or Jake.
Oh, yeah. Jake, do you want to join us? Mary? Sorry.
We'll go. Good evening, everyone. PCA would like to thank the board and the district for the ongoing discussions as we continue compensation negotiations. Thank you. We are all looking forward to finishing it up as soon as possible with the understanding that this is a long and complicated process. Thank you for the collaboration. There are a few things being discussed and adopted tonight that we would like to mention. PCA supports the parental leave policy 7070 as it was originally written in 2018 without restrictions, and appreciate the dialogue regarding this policy. We would also like to make a few suggestions to the fiscal year 2023-2024 calendar being adopted. First of all, there seems, the last that I looked, there is a mistake on the August 16th date. Since that is not a makeup for PD for teachers, we are already fulfilling that requirement on June 6th. We have the March 8th professional development day for teachers that can also be used as a makeup snow day if needed. That allows for one snow day during the school year. In addition to that, we would like to ask for a remote option for all K-12 students. This would allow for an additional resource if we go over the one snow day for next year. Extending the school year after graduation to fulfill the state requirement is non-productive for students. Allowing for a snow day to be built into the schedule rather than stacked at the end of the year, plus a remote option as a backup, keeps things consistent during the school year when students need the most academic support. Again, thank you for your time. Thank you.
Thanks.
Jen Bramson, Park City Classified Employee Association. I wanted to say thank you for your continued discussion surrounding compensation policy and employee job satisfaction. We feel like everyone involved with negotiations has a shared interest and is invested in the success of our school district, the students we serve, and attracting and retaining the best employees. Our educational support staff has continued to work and come up with creative solutions in the face of adversity throughout COVID and while experiencing extreme staff shortages. Extra responsibilities have been expected of staff. They have stepped up and worked as a team for the benefit of our students. ESPs have remained loyal to Park City School District because they believe in and want to see our district thrive. We hope the Board of Education will continue to have an open dialogue with the associations as we represent the voice and the best interests of our employee members. Park City School District employees have insight and can offer solutions and suggestions to issues affecting the students they work with and their job families. Employees are asking to be compensated, heard, and have their input taken seriously. This is how our members define respect.
Thank you, Jen.
Yeah. Thanks.
Please.
And Cindy, I represent the classified employee involvement group. Easier as EIG. I just want to thank you for allowing us for this time to give you this brief update on behalf of EIG. We would like to thank the board and the administration for the ongoing meetings regarding negotiation. We feel like the process is being transparent and all of our stakeholders for EIG are being heard. We look forward to continuing the process and coming to a final resolution for the best of all of our employees. We would also like to start, and I don't have my glasses on, so bear with me.
I have some.
It's only 2 sentences. We would like to state that we like the change in policy 77 for the paid parent leave as a maximum benefit of 2 times per employee, that we feel that this policy is extremely generous, especially since it only benefits a handful of employees.
Like the date. Yeah. Okay, thank you, guys. We'll get into that policy a little bit later. Mr. Canner, COO report, please.
Good afternoon. This is the operations update for the 18th of April, 23. We're still watching COVID, even though we're low. We're hoping to take that off the report at the end of this calendar year. But just for the public's notice that we're prepared in case things flare back up, and all of our back shot mitigation procedures are still in place. Buildings and grounds, our capital outlay budget is complete. We're not getting the funds that we had hoped because of some other issues, but we're hoping to get some supplementation through House Bill 61 for some security initiatives that we plan. So there's $71 million out there that's allocated for FY24 for projects just for security. So we're hoping to tap those heavily for some of the issues that we're looking at security. Our operations staff is ensuring that drains and culverts on Park City property are clear, preparing for potential spring flooding. We're seeing more and more of that out in the field. So far, no issues. And just to reiterate, none of our schools are in floodplains. Although we're seeing some of our employees being impacted by it, especially in Heber. Luckily, we've got a modest warm up predicted this week, and colder at nights, which allow for more of a meter melt off of the snow at least initially. I just want to shout out to the transportation team, how great of a job they did in getting their kids with limited resources, considering the snow. I did a ride along with Rich up through Summer Park, and I could not believe the conditions they were dealing with. We had to do an 18-point turn from a vehicle around there because it was snowed in. and operating on 1-lane roads if you've driven up there. So just a great job those guys are doing. Staffing continues to be a challenge, but we're working through some of that. And we're considering route consolidations, and possible spot with lack of supports for after school program if needed. Well, hopefully we won't need those things, but as they come along, we get a shortfall of driver, we might have to do some of those things. We're requesting 2 new buses for capital, FY24 capital outlay instead of our usual 3, but those 2 should allow us to remove the last 2 dirty diesels that we have on the property. For child nutrition services, complete their state administrative review, and all the following recommendations were accomplished. And John is dealing with a couple staff shortfalls, but he's interviewing people for those positions. Human resources, a couple big things going on right now. We got the jobs salary study. EMS, who's the company we retained to do that for us, has held supervisory orientations with about 25 staff members to get a baseline understanding of the jobs under study. They then held focus groups consisting of representative samples of each of the employee groups. And they'll create draft job descriptions and validate them with those supervisory group. And then they'll perform a competitive market analysis and internal equity analysis and produce salary recommendations. So that work is going on right now. The other big thing going on in human resources is facilitating, as you heard, interest-based bargaining conversations with the PCDA, PCCDA, and the EIG. Groups have met together twice, and as individuals, as a collective group, and then broke off into meetings afterwards as individual negotiating bodies. Staffing issues continue to be a concern in all our support service areas. The security committee met today with a product demo for both Ajax and Zero Eyes, which are 2 of the technologies we're looking at bringing on board here. Ajax is already starting to be implemented in the schools. It's at Summit County Sheriff's Office. We're going to have a demo for admin team tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock. If anybody wants to come on board and take a look. We had the Zero Eyes team do a demo for us, which I mentioned was a really promising leveraging of the current camera system, artificial intelligence to look for weapons. And so it takes those 500 cameras that we have that are just passive views and actually enables them to be active searching for weapons. So the cameras that are in our parking lots and hallways can all be 24/7 searching for weapons with artificial intelligence. So very promising technology we hope to secure with that House Bill 61. That's all I have for you, second.
Thanks, Mike.
What kind of buses are we looking at? Is it nat gas or is it?
No, right now we're looking at diesel buses, but they're ultra low emission buses. So they put out about the same amount of CO2 as do a car. And so they're actually quite efficient. Electric buses at this point are still 2x, 3x of the cost of a diesel bus, plus the infrastructure we have to switch over to. So we're keeping our eye out for programs that would allow us to make that conversion. With the current political environment, there likely will be those things that are coming, and also the cost of electric buses is coming down. So it's something we're keeping an eye on. There's going to be a point where it makes sense for us to switch over from a financial perspective, but right now we're not there yet.
I'd love to keep looking at that. I mean, Jill and I spoke last weekend at the National School Board Conferences, and some really interesting programs to make the electric network more credible. So I'd love to see.
The grants, federal grants.
Yeah, the grants right now are kind of spotty, right? Somebody might say, hey, we got $50 million available for grants. It sounds like a ton of money, but that's really like 15 buses, right? So we get 30 on property and if you share it across the entire state. So while the numbers sound pretty high, they're actually still not. But
well, they grant some months out as well. I mean, you've got to be looking for the grant like 6 months out.
Right. Yep. Okay.
Any other questions? Okay, great. Thank you.
Thanks, Mike.
Yeah, please. So we have the city council elections coming up for deciding who gets the student body vice president or president and vice president position.
as well as senior class and senior class vice president, as well as the junior and sophomore positions. And so that will be held on April 28th, which is going to be the last Friday in April. And that's going to be an assembly during the day, and we should be getting the results back from that same day or the day after. And then we also have Coachella, which we have a date now, and that's going to be May 13th, and it will be held in the senior lot at the high school, and it will be open to the public. Anybody who wants to enter a car for the car show portion of it, or whoever wants to show up can. And for prom, it's going to be at Snow Park from 7 to 10 p.m. And the theme is going to be City Lights or New York, New York. And then for Wish Week, which was the last week in March, we were able to help grant Isabel's wish of going to Disneyland.
That's awesome.
And that's it.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
So then in May, will you bring your replacement meeting so that there's transition or no?
If I get the position again next year, yeah. Yeah, if I get the position again next year, I won't, but if I don't make it. We don't do that again. Thank you.
Go back.
Excellent. So last month we focused on communication as part of the report. Today we're going to do community alliances, which is kind of fun. So as we know, our collective work as a school system is to ensure safety. That's why we always hear from ops, security, safety, a big quarterly meeting with all of our emergency responders. So I don't have those 45 organizations necessarily listed, but we typically have 45 organizations that we partner with throughout Summit County just for safety and security. Our work, of course, is to ensure academic achievement of all students and to provide as many opportunities as we can for student success. This month, I'll be focusing on inspiring and supporting all students equitably. The committee's work up till this point, a little bit on the facility survey that will be out later this week about the future use of Treasure Mountain Junior High site, and then the community partnerships. So it's so weird that. Sorry, I needed to be on extra. All right, so our mission as a school district, and this was adopted by the community and board in 2017, is to inspire and support all students equitably to achieve their academic and social potential. And I love that graduation shot because that really symbolizes, you know, everybody all together and you're doing your hat toss. It's really a fun milestone moment. Our vision is one of a student-centered district where our focus and emphasis is on the whole child. Our students are safe, supported, engaged, challenged, and healthy. And I love thinking about preschool all the way through 12th grade when we see evidence of this through the system. Our Inspiring and Supporting All Students Equitably Committee and many members are here tonight. I see them in the audience. And this is so weird, like my slide says 1 and 2, but that one says 1 and 1. So weird. But the committee goals for this year, it had 2 main overarching goals: to inspire and support all students equitably to achieve academic and social potential. So they grabbed that right from the mission of the school district. And then what we're trying to do is create and maintain a welcoming, inclusive, and equitable school climate that promotes learning. So that's the driver behind all of this talk about having a policy and what does that mean. The driver is number 1 and 2 there for this committee. Our committee had 21 members this year as a full committee. They had been meeting monthly all year. There was a policy development subcommittee that met more frequently. There was an external facilitator, and we did have membership reflective of the community. And even the students at the table were recommending that the practices include having student representatives at the table every year, which is awesome. That's a great step. And community leadership, right? And students having real authentic experiences to be at the table, whether it's the board seat or a committee seat. So making real decisions and real recommendations that are taken seriously by the entirety of the community. We had administrators, educators, staff, a board rep, and then, like I said, students. And we're trying also to build in feedback loop opportunities. The committee made progress throughout the year. They worked on a draft policy. They looked at different case studies of things happening really in the district or even broader. to say how might we address a concern or an issue, and what would our action steps be, and what consistent actions do we take to remove bias or barriers. And then we do have a request for professional services where 3 companies were selected to interview, and then 1 company was selected to provide an external assessment of how we are doing in our work to ensure all students are achieving access, opportunities, and the ability to succeed in our system. The policy timeline, we are hoping that by next month we'll have that, which really just helps us to define the what. What does it mean to have an equitable education, an educational equity policy? What's that mean? What procedures kind of follow that? So what are the action steps? And then bring in student insights, bring in community voice in that, and then rolling out that policy next school year. From a facilities lens, we do not have a determination of the future use of the Treasure Mountain junior high site, the facility or the site. So we are going to be sending out to staff and the community, staff, parents, community members, a very short survey where there are 6 ideas at what the future use might be, as well as an other, so that there can be other ideas generated. So none of the bond money is used for anything with Treasure, not for rehabbing it, not for demolishing it, nothing can be used. So we will expend all of our bonded dollars before we ever tackle this particular problem. But people were starting to talk about it, so we thought we might as well have a focused way to gather some input before the end of the school year, so the board could take a look at that. So the future use of Treasure Mountain or the Treasure Mountain site, the master educational plan with 2 different architecture firms, both in 2019 and then 2021, both called for a demolition of the school and a reuse of the site for fields, athletic fields. However, the board, community board, will have to determine if that is the right decision. So that's one of the choices of the 6, is to demolish it and reestablish it as parking, internal routing, and or fields. That was in the 30-year plan. So like I said, you'll receive this insight survey. Please take the moment to answer it. It will be interesting to see what people's thoughts are on this topic. It will be open until early May. We then have an outside team review the insights from that survey. So we're not actually dealing with the data internally at all. It's going straight to an external site, and then they give us the report. So we're looking forward to that. And then going into our partnerships, we have so many. There are just 25 that I've highlighted here in the presentation tonight. So I'm sure I've missed a bunch of them, but to at least give us the idea of recognizing and appreciating all of our many partners, because really the community partners help so many things that I think that remains kind of hidden in the school district. I don't know that we talk about it a lot, but everything from our education foundation, where the Bright Futures program is kind of a sub program of PCEF. They have their first college graduation of 7 students this year. Next year it's 25, right? So it's grown exponentially. So it's really exciting, and definitely promotes this idea of every student being able to reach, have access and reach their optimal potential. We've got our community ed program, which we can never talk about highly enough. It's a whole different stream, kind of a tax funding, but it helps to support a sliding scale before and after school program, summer school, adult ed, all kinds of cool courses through the Compass program. Phase and Rec, of course, helps. We do shared facilities out at Eckerd Hill. United Way, we're a part of the Regional Promise Partnership Program, where we look at urgent needs from early learning all the way to literacy and numeracy scores. The Unite, that partnership has been amazing. It looks at attendance issues and gives different scalable opportunities, right, for us to try. Whether you're a big district like Salt Lake or a smaller district like us, we get the chance to talk about these issues collaboratively, and then they track and monitor data. Everything from preschool entry to attendance rates throughout the region, which is awesome. The Early Childhood Alliance is a Park City Community Foundation idea from several years ago, where we're looking at the big picture from Utah's. Really, most of the Western states have a childcare desert, really hard to find
reliable, affordable childcare. Talks about everything from the advocacy to for universal preschool, all the way to just getting high quality preschool experiences for learners, because we know that earlier the kids are exposed to socialization and pre-academic learning, the better transition they need to kindergarten. So it's an awesome partnership. Communities That Care has been an organization that many of you are familiar with, and they were really focused on teens and their well-being, and they have done some really creative programming. They were one of only 3 community agencies across the US that got a federal grant for 5 years for preventive programming, preventing drug abuse. So it's amazing, that they were able to pull that together, and that keeps their funding really secure for the foreseeable future, which is amazing. We are part of the K-16 Alliance, which is a partner with UVU. It helps us with everything from educational internships all the way to just making sure that we are thinking through a seamless transition for students to be able to do post-secondary learning. MTech is similar, and we are grateful to Meredith for volunteering to serve on the MTech board for us. That's about a quarterly meeting, I believe, and I think you can go on Zoom if you don't want to go down to Lehigh for that, but really fun, technical, just what can technical education provide for kids and even adult career changers, really interesting programming. Our Bridges group is an internal group where our FACE team meets with PTO and SEC reps to talk about different departments in the district, different initiatives, and share ideas back and forth. The Park Safe Community Foundation is an excellent partner. Over 100 other students this year, our high school students have received funding to help close the gap with academic or athletic fees. Traveling to the United Nations presentation, the competition, there were kids that were able to access travel funds through this RISE program through the Community Foundation. So we're really so grateful for that. Of course, Park City Institute has announced its new executive director, and we do have a partnership with the PCI as they use the Eccles Theater for their winter programming primarily. Park City Municipal is a quick phone call away, but we definitely, whether it's field usage or whether it's working on our sustainability efforts and energy conservation, they're the first people we call. And I know Mike has a great relationship with Park City Municipal. As you all know, Vail rents our lots for weekends only, not school days during ski season, but boy, have they been an amazing partner this year with our student council, right? The nighttime ski event, how fun was that, right? To ski under the lights. They've done the ski lift ride for graduation day before. They hosted homecoming, so great partnership there, and we're so appreciative. Our safety providers, of course, our Park Safe Police Department and Summit County Sheriff's Office are always, just right there on the spot. If we need any kind of security, safety question, the AJAX is right in the Summit County Sheriff's Office to get everybody in the county on one system for communications and floor plans and all that kind of stuff. They also help us with our school resource officers. We've been doing some fun partnerships even with Connect, which is a mental health awareness and support group here in Summit County. Deer Valley, similar to Vail, they rent our Treasure Mountain lot. So as we think of that future use, they do currently rent that lot on their busiest few weekends, but we'll want to probably think about that in our parking situation. Our Youth Sports Alliance, one of my favorite nonprofits here in Park City, providing those Friday afternoon introduction to a wide range of sports and activities is really an amazing opportunity for the kids. And SOS also does such a nice job of mentoring and supporting students, teaching them how to ski. Overall health and wellness benefits of that program are amazing. National Ability Center has been an amazing partner with us, as has the Chamber of Commerce. Summit County Behavioral Health, their team helps organize preventive programming as well and helps to interpret the SHARP data. And then they use that SHARP data to see what certain areas are kids engaging in safe behaviors or risky behaviors, and what kind of programming can they do to lean towards the supportive services rather than negative risk factors, and that can be drug use, alcohol abuse, all those. Summit County Land Conservancy does such a nice job helping us with our really cool habitat right outside of Treasure Mountain Door. We have some amazing wetlands, amazing animals back there. And they're so great about helping us, even with our Highland campus, that 55 acres invasive species, and getting out there to remove those, they've really been an amazing partner, along with Recycle Utah, who's a great part of our green team. And Recycle Utah for years has done lessons for kids on recycling and sustainability and composting and all those sorts of things. Eats, as we know, is kind of combining with community gardens, which is really exciting. My husband has a garden plot out there and just loves it, helped to build their greenhouse. But as you know, we have some greenhouses at schools. So really fun to keep the ideas flowing on what we might do to enhance those programs. The Peace House always also comes into the schools and does some lessons on safety and well-being. So truly, in conclusion, our schools are a reflection of the community we serve, and we are so grateful for all the partnership and advocacy that is provided by the community at large for the Park City School District. So an update on those community alliances for you.
Thank you.
One quick question before we move on. The treasure survey, how's that going out? Is it just by email?
That will go out via Swift K-12 to parents and to staff to be able to answer, but then for the community, we also put, just like we did with the equity policy, we have a link that goes right on the website. And we kind of push that out through Chamber of Commerce, so they'll have the link, and that way we reach kind of a broader audience.
Social media and
Yeah, but yes, yeah, different.
it'll be hard to control who saw it. Okay. The more avenues to get out to people, the better. That's all. So,
All right, can we please invite up Chloe and Bailey? You can introduce what you're here for. It's so good to see you. Thank you for coming. Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you, members of the school board, for having us. My name is Chloe Terrell.
And my name is Bailey Carmack. We're both in 12th grade at Park City High School.
Together, we both serve as youth liaisons to the advisory board of the Children's Justice Center of Summit County. We've been working with the advisory board for the past 2 years, and our role is to bring a youth voice to the Children's Justice Center at Summit County.
April is Child Abuse Prevention Month. Child maltreatment is a national and global issue that affects all sectors of society and crosses socioeconomic, racial, religious, and multicultural boundaries. It's important for us to help foster awareness of child maltreatment and to help ensure a comprehensive response to child maltreatment in our community. Many citizens may not be aware of all the child protection workers at our Summit County Children's Justice Center. Chloe and I have had the opportunity to meet detectives, child protective service workers, prosecutors, interviewers, medical professionals, therapists, victim advocates, and more.
When children report maltreatment to a trusted adult and the trusted adult calls the hotline or law enforcement, this team of professionals convenes at the CJC to provide a comprehensive response. It's pretty amazing.
We also want to remind all adults that they are mandatory reporters.
It's ingrained in us starting in 1st grade that if we're not safe, we should tell a trusted adult.
Children then rely on the trusted adults to do their part and notify the hotline or law enforcement.
This system can help ensure that every child can find the path to safety, health, and resilience.
Raising awareness is critical to prevent child maltreatment. We are here to ask you to help us.
You should all have a copy of the resolution, which we hope you will adopt to declare April Child Abuse Prevention Month in the Park City School District.
We saw that President Biden once again declared April to be National Child Abuse Prevention Month. We hope that the Park City School Board will do the same.
We would like to read our proposed resolution to the school board, if that's okay with you.
All right, thank you.
Whereas child abuse and neglect is a complex and ongoing problem in our society affecting many children in Summit County, and
whereas every child is entitled to be loved, cared for, nurtured, feel secure, and be free from verbal, sexual, emotional, and physical abuse and neglect, and
whereas it is the responsibility of every adult who comes in contact with a child to protect that child's inalienable right to a safe and nurturing childhood, and
whereas Summit County has dedicated individuals and organizations who work daily to counter the problem of child maltreatment and to help parents obtain the assistance they need, and
Whereas our communities are stronger when all citizens become aware of child maltreatment, prevention, and become involved in supporting parents to raise their children in a safe and nurturing environment. And
Whereas effective child abuse prevention programs succeed because of partnerships among families, social service agencies, schools, religious and civic organizations, law enforcement agencies, and the business community. And
whereas all citizens, as all citizens, community agencies, faith organizations, and businesses will work together to increase their effort to support family.
now therefore be it resolved that the Park City School Board hereby proclaim the month of April 2023 to be Child Abuse and Neglect Prevention.
Thank you guys very much.
Thank you. Great work.
Do we have any questions for,
Chloe and Bailey?
Really, thank you for coming in.
all right, so I will, I'll entertain a motion, to adopt this resolution as read. Sorry, the proclamation as read.
I make a motion to adopt, April. As a proclamation.
Second.
Any discussion? Okay, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
All right, we will go to 5.1, with district facility update.
Good afternoon. I'll start out with talking about our schools within the county jurisdiction. Jeremy Ranch School is under full construction right now. Our team has formed poured and put foundation walls in and stripped those forms away from the walls and add rebar. Utility lockouts are being placed in the foundation walls to support electrical and plumbing. And the storm drain tie-ins to the storm tech underground detention system are being crafted. You've probably seen the walls starting to emerge from the ground now. Those are foundation walls. The masons will be out there probably in about 2 weeks, starting to get black. So kind of an exciting time seeing the walls starting to come up on Jeremy. Eckerd Hill Middle School, remember we broke things up into 2 big packages. The first one was for the bus lot construction on the church side. That's been delayed a little bit because of snow and the moisture conditions back there. We're hoping to get the crews out there either this week or next week as the soil stabilizes and begin that work. Most of the curb core is in there already, so once they get clearance to get in there, the road grading and the warmer weather will allow us to begin the asphalt work very quickly there. We still don't have the final closure on securing the church lot. We've done everything within our power to make that happen legally. It's in the hands of the church bureaucracy at this point, and we're just waiting for the final close on that. Eckerd Hill Middle School bid package number 2 was the overall project. Again, full construction is underway. For folks who are going by Treasure, you'll see the south side by the pool. The snow has been pulled away from the entranceway, and we're starting to put in construction fencing there to allow us to demolish that wall on the side of the gym there. We've worked with the Eckerd Hill team to ensure that we have safe transit for people accessing the pool, and we worked through all the door issues associated with that and the badge readers that will do it. Hogan will produce, who is the construction firm who's managing the Eckerd Hill project, will produce a summer impact schedule that we can share with our partners as the Basin Recreation to deconflict our Eckerd Hill Middle School recreation offerings, to make sure we can maximize sort of use of that site during construction. Parley's Park Elementary School, we're starting the coordination with the county already. Our site plan was reviewed by the county on the 21st of March. Construction documents are due from our architect there, BCDO, on the 23rd of April. And our conditional use permit application will be submitted on the 24th of April, a week from yesterday. Our USB project numbers, we're at 10% completion on that, but we anticipate getting that in hand for hopefully demolition to begin in the middle of June. Since it's Parley's Park project is smaller in size, it won't require modifications to the master development plan. and will not have to be in front of the Centerville Planning Commission or Summit County Council for approval. Once the plans are submitted, which we hope again is on the 24th of April, it'll take about 8 weeks for us to get that conditional use permit. Trailside Elementary, we're starting our coordination with the county and starting the construction documents, production design at this stage, but we don't, the start date is still to be determined. Our city schools, McPullen, the full construction is underway. We've had snow removed across the entire building pad. Again, same thing like at Julie, we formed the foundations for them, rebarred them, stripped the foundation, the forms away from the walls to make those available. And again, utility blockouts are being placed in the foundation walls to support electrical and plumbing. The brick masons and equipment mobilization for that site began yesterday, so they're about a week and a half ahead of Jeremy. So again, we'll be seeing the walls coming up there soon. So kind of exciting time for us. Park City High School, again, we're a little hampered by the snow there. The snow removal is happening right now. Structural fill will be brought in here soon, and we're a little slowed up by the soil and muddy moisture of the muddy soil right now. Just a reminder to the group and to the public that a construction summary updated weekly on the district website. And it's written in layman's terms along with progress. It's a spreadsheet that shows the status of all the permitting we're securing. We have JD with us, who's the brain from our owners team here. If you have any questions that I might not be able to answer.
You guys have any questions?
So one stupid question. We have confirmed with the county that they agree parties doesn't need to go before the planning commission, right?
That's what we've been told. Yes.
Okay.
It's under 10,000 square feet.
Okay.
So
Just
10,000,
would-
anything greater than 10,000 square feet needs all this permitting stuff. This is under, it's just the,
Let me correct that. It does have to go to the planning, commission, but only to the planning commission.
Only.
It doesn't have to go beyond that. They
Okay.
vote on it. It doesn't have to go to county council.
Okay, I understood. And then just my usual check-in on contingency, how in terms of the contingency with all the snow delays and everything else and something.
You know, it's back to where we're roughly 6 months behind our initial plan. We're our best guess, we're slightly over budget, but within inflation at this point, where we think that we can make it over the entirety of the project. We think we'll still be within relatively good bounds there. I think we're in a pretty good place considering the snow conditions and the operating environment that we're working in.
Great, thank you very much.
Thanks for all your work. Ms. Riley.
So up in the plan for budget.
Yes, I'll make this quick because we're still in the budget phase with collective bargaining, those types of things. I've added a document to the board packet, or had Lori add a document. I appreciate doing that, which is a quick guide that just kind of came hot off the press in the last few days from the state office. So I just thought I'd share that for your reference. Talks about the increase in the WQ and some of the different funding mechanisms, and then also includes some of the notable education bills that are slated there. So, for example, full day kindergarten, the earmark for education, they'd be able to use those funds for other things. What we're going to do with the plan enrollment in the states and those things. So, without taking more time from the meeting today, President, if there's specific questions, I'm happy to answer those. But this is a general overview of the legislative session and what happened in funding with some of these affect us, some of these don't. And if you have other questions after the fact, feel free to reach out and have to answer those. But you'll see greater detail of that in the presentation as we closer to our June 1 budget date.
I think we have any budget questions, or is that's fine.
Yeah,
Great,
this is a nice overview.
thank you very much, Randy. All right, we have two decisions on the docket today, both on the calendar proposals. Let's start with FY23 school calendar proposal revision. This is to make the necessary adjustments to accommodate the missed school day on March 31st. So I will entertain a motion to approve this amendment. Any more discussion?
Okay, and I can let you do the amendment to the school calendar.
Can we have the discussion before we approve it?
Yeah, but we have to get the
Yeah,
motion on the
we
table,
have to get on.
just from a
And
procedural.
then you discuss.
Yeah.
Wait, someone has a second.
Okay. Now we can, yeah.
Yeah, okay, good. I'm just a little bit concerned with extending to the fifth. I mean, I think, so I understand our priorities given in-person education. I understand why it happened. Is there really no other solution to get that time covered? So that we're not asking families and students, teachers, everyone to rearrange plans that would have been made a long time ago.
So the school calendar minimums in Utah are 174 school days, 4 professional learning days, and 2 parent-teacher conference days. So the way our district handles the parent-teacher conferences is we have a lot of evening conferences, and then we take a day of spring break and the day before Thanksgiving break as those commensurate days. We are at the minimum of 4 professional learning days. What we used to have in past years is we had 8 professional learning days, so we had some flexibility. We don't have that. We have 4 professional learning days since 2018. So right now, we have to meet that. I did apply for a waiver. The waiver was denied by the state. We have to hit 100 days minimum. So we do need to add the June 5th to the school calendar. We can run that as a Friday day, and that can be like the field days or the fun, kind of the fun closing activities of the school year, but we do have to host a day. We can't do like 2 Friday half days. I was trying to look at any other option as well, but we're unable to do that with the number of 174. We have to get to that.
How is that going to impact summer camps? Or will it start in the schools?
Yeah, those are-
None of them start that early.
No.
Well, there was a convention that was gonna start at Harley's that week, so actually they've already. I mean, so.
Yeah, adult ed knew about. We have to push. So.
And that was outside.
Dr. Gilday, you said you did request a waiver and it was denied. Is that what I heard you say?
And it was denied because we have not built in additional days. So we do need to build in additional days for future years. To give ourselves some flexibility, right?
I mean, we're trying.
Yeah, we did try, I mean,
You got it.
So a lot of kids aren't going to show up. That's.
Yeah, I think
Kids get.
I think that
What else?
makes the
I know,
next,
I get it.
I think that will make the
Right,
next
so that's what it is.
decision.
We don't. Next
Yeah,
year.
no, I-
Right.
Yeah, I think that makes the next, revision and future ones more relevant.
For sure.
But on this one, it appears that we don't have a whole lot of choice. With that, if there's no other questions, let's have a vote on extending that extra day. As is listed in this graphic. All those in favor of extending?
Reluctantly.
Yes, and,
Yes, I,
all right, so that passes. The next one is for 24. This would be to, and I think we have to make, well, I'll entertain a motion to approve the amendment on the 23-24 calendar and this.
I make a motion to approve the amendment on the 23-24 calendar.
Okay, so we've already had one comment from Mary that the 16th is listed here as a makeup PD day, and that'll be satisfied on June 6th, I believe. So we can remove that. So I'll entertain a motion to amend this listed calendar to remove that first day of the 16th and make it the 17th of August for the teacher's first day.
Okay, I make the motion or
Yes, an amendment to the motion.
I make a motion and to amend the motion for the 23. As stated.
Okay, So first, we're gonna vote on that amendment. Before we have any other discussion. All those in favor of that specific amendment to revise that error, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay.
I,
Perfect. Now we can discuss the rest of the calendar, which builds in one extra, snow day. And, well, actually, it has, what it does is it allows there to be maximum of 5 extra days after graduation in June. So it starts at the 10th and it allows for a potential of up to 5 extra days post graduation. Do you have any discussion around that part of this amendment?
So I'm fine doing that, but to Mary's point earlier, can we have remote learning as a fallback to minimize the chances we ever get to that?
Well, I mean, I think that's a discussion. I think. Well, I'll let Meredith speak to that first, actually.
Oh, sure. I mean, that's certainly what we're being, for that, as we've heard from other parents and educators in the community, because we want to avoid this situation, and what we have to do this year, and, potentially, I mean, certainly this was a unusual winter, and that, we might not get this again in my lifetime. I mean, I hope we do, but I don't know, this is certainly outside of what we are used to dealing with. And then with the power outage as well, the unusual situation that occurred as well. But yeah, if there's some way that we can respond to that and be agile in our structure, how are we educating our kids? People are from the pandemic experience, well, it's not ideal, but as a backup, it wouldn't be out of what we experienced already. So you're gonna say, okay, we're switching to remote learning.
So we, I think, yes. Clarify, so we had, you wouldn't need 5 students to take home devices in November to April. For the K-5, now they don't really know school. And that would require the elementary teachers to build lessons into that for all content areas, so that the kids could access those, because really 6-12, this is very easy. Everything is built into Canvas sources. K2, we have Seesaw as a learning management system. 3-5, we've been using Google Classroom. So we have a way to do it, but it would put a different burden on the K5 than what they typically have from November to April. From the amount of time that the devices are home. Plus, it's more wear and tear on the devices. We currently have a 7-year renewal cycle on those devices that would drastically cut it in half. So
And can I clarify, that made sense during COVID when there was an investment we knew for a extended period of time to do that for an in case they made your investment.
Yeah, so then I think this is
Right.
that conversation and that maybe people haven't thought of, right?
What's your?
I just think
That's a lot of back and forth.
yeah, I think for an in case day. I mean, to have all the teachers in all the elementary schools, all the devices, everything set up for that in case. I don't know, I would let the operations team, answer that. So certainly wouldn't be work we have to do. So, I don't even know how that, if the ask right now is to, I mean, I don't. Even, let's say we still determine that that's something one could do, and we still adopt this calendar and have it in case 5 days for makeup, or are we saying that that's an alternative to doing this? Potential makeup.
Well, I think you said we'd have to have the potential days in order to apply for a waiver or something in the future anyway. We have to have them on the calendar.
Yeah, so
I think that's a good thing to make sure that we
right,
are protected.
but so I think we should do that.
Yes,
That's why I don't think this conversation about
No,
Remote learning impacts what we're trying to adopt right now.
no, it's more about how we avoid getting into.
Yeah, and that could be a discussion, I think, with admin and teachers that they could have. But I don't think that impacts this decision. So,
Yeah, and do you have any comments?
Well, just so I'm clear, so by adding in the 5 days, it makes us eligible for the waiver? Is that what it is? Do we have to do 5 days or is that kind of the baseline?
That just gives us eligibility for a waiver and it adds the potential for 5 extra days. If there's,
Of electrical outlet, outages and stuff. Okay. And if obviously if we don't use them, then the last day of school is the 7th.
yeah.
And if we use 2, then last day is the 11th. Okay. That's all I have.
yeah, I mean, my view would be that, I think it makes sense to have these in the calendar so that we have a little bit more flexibility, but that said, I'm not a big believer of, remote learning, I think. You know, we did it with, as an option during extraordinary times. And I think we were one of the fortunate school districts that offered in-person learning as well, and it's proven, the districts that went fully remote or had remote learning, fell way behind. And so I know it's a convenience factor for parents, but I don't, just on principle, I'm not a big fan of it. And I don't think that it's, I kind of view it as a slippery slope once we go down the path of remote learning is acceptable. In normal times, it's not a great policy to have. So that's my view, just to note, hopefully, but I think that doesn't affect my view that this makes sense to have these kids. So it sounds like we're ready to vote. All those in favor of approving the amended motion for the new calendar, please say aye.
Hi.
I
All right, so that passes. All right,
But I think this conversation was exactly a good idea to help address some of the issues that came up.
yeah, certainly,
But
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think we should continue to have the conversation. I agree. In-person learning is clearly preferential.
that's my.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're talking, it's back up for extremes. I think.
yeah, and I think we're solving the issue by adding these take-up days. We've learned our lesson and
Yeah.
we move on. So, okay, we have 2 policies for posting. With the 2 policies for posting are policy 1006 and 10021. 1006 is educational equity. I would imagine that a lot of the folks who are here today are looking to give public comment on this. The good news is you will be able to make a public comment. The better news is we're going to be hosting some open houses to allow everyone to come and make public comment and give their input on educational equity, including today. I think that it would be great to have this policy posted now, and then even if we need to have more discussion at our next meeting, have this approved by the end of the school year. Which would be a great target for us all to have. But we do recognize as a board that there are different opinions on this, both for and against, and we want to have as much public input as possible. So with that said, I want to take a motion to post 2 policies. One is an amended 1006, and the second is 10021 dropout prevention for couple program.
I make a motion to post both those policies as stated. A second.
Okay, any discussion on those policies?
I think we have a lot of people who are going to be discussing these policies. Yeah.
All right, perfect. All those in favor of posting these 2 policies for public input, please say aye. Aye.
I
All right, those are posted. We have 8 policies for adoption. I'm going to state 7 of them and keep one separate because I know that we have some discussion on that one. So I'll entertain a motion to adopt policy 4010, travel and conference reimbursement, policy 7075, 12-month employee staff holiday, policy 9000, academic integrity, policy 9015, patriotic education, policy 9025, wellness, policy 110, enrollment.
I make a motion to adopt those policies as stated.
Okay. Do we have any feedback on those 7 policies?
We do have some from
Okay.
Cindy on the policy 4010. You want me to do that?
Sure.
In reviewing the policies that are posted that will be adopted today, we have some concerns about policy 4010 travel and conference reimbursement. Most suggested changes to the travel policy are reasonable and clarify questions to issues that come up on a daily basis, with the exception of the suggested change in F, mileage reimbursement. It states mileage will be reimbursed if special dietary needs are available while the employee is traveling. Utah Administrative Code regarding travel-related reimbursements, R 25-7-9, reimbursement for incidentals says in B, personal use of such transportation to a restaurant is not reimbursable. An example is if an employee doesn't like what the conference is serving, they will simply say their dietary needs could not be met. Thus, the taxpayers will not have to pay for the one meal at the conference, mileage to get to another place, and a second meal. If a conference offers meals paid for with the registration, taxpayers should not have to pay for a second special meal. In most, if not all cases, conferences ask if they have special dietary needs in advance and may adjust accordingly.
Thank you, Cindy.
Thank you.
Where, so this would be removing FE. So on, or sorry, F.2, sub-point E. Where did this come from? Was there a specific reason that it was included in the policy? Yes, Chad.
We had 2 specific instances where lodging was both for employees and it was away from the conference site and food wasn't provided to the conference site. And there was nothing in the vicinity of them getting the dietary needs. And when they went to submit the reimbursement, it was denied. Because the policy didn't address it.
So perhaps we can, so the issue is if there's no food available at the conference, do we reimburse for the mileage?
Yeah.
So it's less about special dietary needs, it's more about with that.
But Utah code specifically says mileage to the restaurant is not allowed. But we do reimburse for the lunch.
But it was special dietary needs for these 2 employees because there was food near where they were staying, but there wasn't vegetarian.
Okay, so what I would suggest here is that we send this back to committee and have Joan review it, especially given the objection is due to the Utah code, because I don't think we want to be passing something that's violating state law. So let's do that, and then we'll look at it again at our next meeting.
Code or is it rule? It's the R2.5, right?
It's R 25-7-9.
Yeah, so those are administrative rules, right? The guides you see, just like we have verification.
All right, let's just have Joan take a quick look at it, and we'll do it next meeting.
See if there's
All
a
right.
way to word it.
So we make an amendment to the motion to remove policy 4010 from adoption.
Make a motion, to amend, to remove, this policy is stated.
I get a second to the amendment. All those in favor of amending, removing policy 4010 From the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye,
Okay.
aye,
So just for clarity, we're voting on adopting policy 7075, 9000, 9015, 9025, and 110. All those in favor of approving those 5 policies, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Aye.
Yeah. Perfect. All right, those 5 have passed, 4010 is sent back. I'll entertain a motion to adopt policy 7070, paid parental leave. Then we can discuss.
I make a motion to adopt paid parental leave 77.
Go ahead, second. Okay, perfect. All right, so I know one piece of, actually, Mary, you're here, so you can clarify if I get this wrong. There's been a request from PCDA to strike point under C application to strike number 7, which says parental leave has a maximum benefit of 2 times per employee. Is that the correct amendment? Okay. And then we also heard from Cindy earlier, I believe, that you want this part to remain. The EIG wants this point to remain.
Yeah,
Is that correct?
comfortable with the change of the doing.
Okay, so your EIG is comfortable, PCBA is asking for that point to be removed. Lori, in addition to those comments, do we have any other comments on this policy? Okay. So I will entertain a motion to amend policy. To amend the motion to approve policy 7070, remove point 7, which is parental leave has a maximum benefit of 2 times per employee.
I make a motion to amend the motion to remove 7, the C7.
Do I have a second?
Policy 77.
Okay, so let's discuss that. That's a request that's come from PCDA leadership. We have some financial numbers on parental leave policy. Superintendent or Randy, you guys want to share those with the board? So we have the context. Yeah, I think let's get all the information on this.
We got it. All right, so, we have had 56 people use this benefit. We've had 9 people use it more than once. 17 people who have used it are no longer employees with PCSD. 1 person resigned after receiving the benefit. Its cost has been approximately $600,000 for the salaries of the people who use the benefit, but does not include the substitute teacher cost.
And that's 56 over how many years?
That
Over
is
5
from
years?
the 18-19 school year.
Over 5 years, so 10 or 12 people are using the year on average, and it's costing the district $120,000 a year, or 150 if the substitutes, yeah, or more, I guess. Okay. So the background on this for you guys is the teacher came to us back in 2018, I guess, and brought up the idea that they would have paid parental leave in addition to FMLA. And it was an ask from a specific teacher rather than from PCDA. But it was one that came directly to the board, and we debated it and felt that it was a fair ask, and it was something that most employers do, which is provide paid parental leave, maternity and paternity. And we did that. There was an amendment made in the past year or two that said that it could only be used 1 time in a 24-month period. The pushback on that was that, you know, as a district, we shouldn't be dictating how frequent people have children or what window they have them in. You want to have 2 kids right away or 3 kids versus having them over a 6-year period. That's your own business. And that's kind of, you know, where it all stands now. So
Does it make sense to have Mary review?
Yeah, you guys have anything to add, Mary or Jake, on this?
Mhm.
I mean, that's a pretty good summary of what conversations look like. The policy, part of the, like you said, a lot of the ideas of changing it, amendment, whatever, can based kind of on like teacher member usage and kind of feedback to us about what's working, what's not working. That's where kind of came from. But that was a pretty good summary. You talked about it last night.
Yeah.
And some working on stuff. Yeah.
Nick, do you have any thoughts?
I think the same logic that we would apply to not dictating when people have children would apply to not dictating how many children people have. I understand that has consequences for the district when people have 3, 4, 5 children. But it sounds like we're talking about edge cases, very small numbers where that's the issue.
If any staff member qualifies for this.
Well, I understand that, but I mean, in terms of who's used it, it would suggest that we're not talking about a huge number and likely to take it 5 times in 4 or 5 year period of time.
Meredith?
Yeah, so just to make sure that I understand.
Sure.
The amendment, I just. That's in my tabs open. I've got it. So it used to say that you could only use it one time during the term period. And the proposed amendment is a maximum benefit of 2 years.
So that's the proposed amendment that's
So we
on.
want to take it out. Okay.
And the ask is to remove that whole
Right.
section.
Okay.
Basically making it, there's no limits on how many children you can have or what frequency you can have children.
Yes, it makes me a good.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Okay, Anne?
No, I'm, that's all clear. Thank you for clarifying all that. I'm good.
Yeah, I'm fine with removing 7.
Right.
Okay, all those in favor of adopting policy 77, with the amendment striking number 7, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Okay, that policy passes. All right, public comment. Does anyone want a quick break before we get into this? Yeah, let's give it 2 seconds and we have.
Yeah, I gotta write
No, I didn't.
Yeah, it's very upset.
All right, the Board of Education wants to hear live input from community members at our meetings. In order to respect and preserve the time allotted to the presenter on the agenda, each speaker will be limited to 3 minutes. We have a bunch of people here, so if we can be respectful of everyone's time and keep it to 3 minutes, that would be appreciated. We'll just call people to the roster in order of this staff received. First, Kara Cody speaking on policy 1006, educational equity. Yeah, just come up and join us.
Okay, thank you. I snuck in this.
Yeah, perfect.
Thank you so much for allowing me to speak. I'm a little bit nervous. This is not something that I enjoy doing. However, it just shows how much I personally care about this as a parent and community member and taxpayer here in Washington School District. I'm in full support of the policy. This is something that we owe educators and every single school district employee, as well as those lovely kiddos sitting behind me and all like 4,500 children in the school district. We are truly to work to our mission and vision here in Park City School District. The policy is needed to do so. And I'm just going to leave it at that. And thank you so much for giving me the time. Yeah.
Thank you, Karen.
Thanks for coming here.
Jen Branson. Same topic.
Commenting on behalf of myself and as an employee. I am in full support of the policy offer that you all have developed. I think it covers it needs to happen. You know, I've been in town for 24 years and I've seen how equity has changed our school district over years. When my children entered kindergarten, we didn't have public preschool, and the difference between kids was obvious. And it really took away from opportunities of some kids because it had to play catch up all the time. And as a preschool teacher in our only Title I school, I know that we need a way so that when we look at procedure, we can run it against policy to make sure that it's working for everyone in our district. We had changes at McClellan recently, I think district-wide, based on safety standards, and some of those policies affected the equity in our preschool families that I work with. They couldn't drop off their kids as early as they had, their jobs were threatened. We have to have a way to explore that if we want to create a system that benefits everyone and works with our mission. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Mary Krista Smith.
Hi,
Hi.
thank you so much for your time. I come here in somewhat of a unique role. I've had the opportunity and the privilege of facilitating the Inspiring and Supporting All Students Equity Committee this year. And what I want to bring to this conversation today and to have you all know, and hopefully you can feel it, is the incredible care, the diligence, the hard work, the hard conversations that happen amongst those committee members made up of teachers, staff, students, community members, a very thoughtful, robust, diligent process to bring to you a policy so that we can uphold the mission of the Park City School District. The conversations that happened around this table were incredible. They were brave and courageous and thoughtful, and every single word in that policy has been put there with great deliberation by this group of experts who live the impacts of these policies every single day in their work. And so I just want to bring that to you and give voice to the process that has been so carefully undertaken over this period of time. I would also like to just
drop into the conversation that in addition to the conversations and the work of that committee was a very thoughtful feedback process through the K-12 Innovate platform. There were over 200 respondents to that platform. I hope that you will take their comments and weigh them carefully. They were overwhelmingly supportive. I know you saw that at the last board meeting in that report from K-12 Innovate. And you know, in that process, no one was asked to contact you directly. And so I hope that you will weigh those comments fairly and give them the weight that they deserve in your consideration. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's good.
Lisa Wall.
Hi.
I'm Lisa Wall, Pine Brook resident of 7 years. I'm a mom to Nora, class of 21, and Sarah, a current senior. For the record, I'm not a bigot, I'm not a racist, I'm not a domestic terrorist. Just so you know, I spent many thoughtful hours on the letter that I wrote to all of you, and hundreds of hours over the years researching CRT, DEI, and other progressive left-wing Marxist ideologies that are somehow infiltrating our Utah schools, now down to K through 12. I thank Dr. Gilday and Andrew for having the decency to respond to my letter and took a lot of time on that. Whether they agree or not on my stance firmly against this proposed educational equity policy. I also appreciate my discussion with Mr. Arbati and input received from legislators and state school board members. I will attend the two scheduled forums, and I'm glad that you will have that opportunity to reach out to other people with different views. I'll reiterate my top questions of concern that were in my letter. What exactly are the problems we are trying to fix? What are the barriers? Explain the achievement gaps using data. How will you go about achieving equitable outcomes? Does that involve lowering standards for high achievers? What will be the tax increase? Our personal PCSD taxes have risen over 59% since 2017. What will be the return on investment? I voted for the latest school bond, and at least I got the infrastructure. I'm very happy about that. But for this feel-good, nebulous, open-ended policy, I really need specifics. How will this increase the number of minorities playing sports and living a healthy lifestyle? How will it fix the disparity between disciplinary outcomes for students? Does this align with House Bill 427 and Utah State Board of Education Rule 277-328? The language is inconsistent. Gender expression, for example, is not in those higher documents. And what are the children most discriminated against in our district? Those who hold ideological or political beliefs different from the majority here. Diversity of thought and freedom of speech are neither mentioned nor protected. PCSD is not diverse. We cater to one group that receives a disproportionately high level of resources. My family experienced true diversity for 5 years when our girls attended a huge British school, international school in Abu Dhabi with 94 different nationalities, mostly male and Muslim. We were the only Roman Catholics. Our birthday parties resembled an assembly of the UN, and we loved it. There was no DEI policy, simply discipline, high academic standards, and sports and activities to bring all children and families together and not divide them. DEI is nothing more than a modern-day Soviet-era commissar system. Commissars were injected into every level of society. It was so pervasive that organizational leadership were more worried about what was correct thought than doing their actual jobs. It was a failed system, and we are replacing commissars now with DEI overlords with no real job except to monitor right think as they perceive it. Teachers will be looking over their shoulders instead of mastering their lesson plans and focusing on our precious students, all of them. Corporations and colleges are ditching DEI because of high cost and no measurable return on investment. I firmly stand against policy 1006, and I look forward to the forums and expressing further views. I hope you'll actually read my letter that I spent a lot of time on. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Allison Cook.
Hello, my name is Allison Cook. I'm a Park Meadows resident and a parent of 3 children, 2 of whom graduated from the high school. I have many concerns regarding the education equity proposal, and I will touch on some highlights. Our family is part of an ethnic minority. I have a gay child and 2 children with learning differences. None ever felt discriminated against in the district due to these characteristics. However, all of my kids have experienced discrimination and harassment due to their political beliefs. In fact, one of my sons was verbally harassed on multiple occasions and criminally attacked because of his political positions and pride for being an American. A teacher actually told one of my sons she was docking his grade because she didn't agree with his politics. We had him switch to a different class, but as far as I know, she never received implicit bias training for her actions. I see nothing in this policy that protects open dialogue and civil discourse. Diversity of thought and freedom of speech are neither mentioned nor protected. That is a requirement of USBE Rule 227-328. The definitions of gender and gender identity should be eliminated from the document. They are in violation of Rule 277-328, which states, the rules should not be applied in a way that will promote one ideology over another regarding a topic, including those described in the rule. Some in the community believe that gender is binary and determined by your chromosomes, and others believe it is a spectrum determined by an innate sense. Your definitions promote the latter ideology, which is a rule violation. They also seem to be in violation of HB 427, which restricts materials that incentivize or force students to change a sincerely held belief they learned at home. Opportunity gaps. What does this mean and how would this be implemented? Are we providing tutors for kids with learning disabilities or language barriers? Are we providing all homes with internet access? Or are we lowering the bar to allow underqualified students into classes that their skill set won't support, setting them up for failure? Or will we be dragging high achievers and our school district's national ranking down by admitting unqualified students into AP classes, for example? What does equitable hiring practices mean? We want the best teachers who are competent at speaking and writing the English language. We don't care what they look like or who they sleep with, and neither should the school district. Balancing the workforce to reflect the diversity of the student body seems antithetical to stated goals of achieving academic excellence and ensuring all students graduate ready to succeed. This also seems a violation of the Civil Rights Act of 1964. What does it mean to benefit equally? Should the kid who does all his homework and studies 20 hours a week get A's on his exams? To get A's on his exams, get the same grade as the kid who doesn't do any assignments or show up for class. I ask you to please consider tabling any vote on this proposal until all community input is reviewed, the document is revised, and a budget for this project is discussed and approved by the taxpayers. Thank you for listening.
Thank you.
Thank you. Jimmy May.
Hello, board.
Hi.
Thank you for having us. My name is Jimmy May. I represent a group, a local community group called the Deplorables. Our motto is wine and politics. What could go wrong? We represent over 150 households. I had very humble beginnings. As a young adult, I took a wrong turn. Yet here I am living the dream in Park City, where else but in America. I want all kids to have the same opportunities as I did. I applaud your efforts to educate our kids, and we are all for actual equity. Yet policy 1006 enhances neither your mission nor your vision. Handful of topics. Weaponized language. The equity movement may have started with good intentions. Sure it did. Defenders of it ask naively or sometimes disingenuously, as the Park Record did on their February 28th editorial, despicable, who could be against, they ask, diversity, equity, or inclusion? These words used to represent noble virtues and still do, yet they have been weaponized. These words are now, sadly, utterly ambiguous. Andrew Sullivan states language is being rewritten in order to make actual informed debate harder by design, injecting euphemisms and deceptions. Implicit bias. The very premise of the policy is flawed. Quote, PCSD recognizes the role systems of bias and discrimination play in creating disparities, close quote. Implicit bias is widely recognized as the grift that it is. Another example of hysterical science used to justify failed practices. For example, in the Harvard Business Review's meta-study of nearly 1,000 trainings across 800 companies, diversity training simply didn't work. It's tempting to believe that there's a psychological fix, especially when that fix dovetails with your ideology, but it's wrong. And real science has shown it to be so. The actual implementation of diversity programs have had horrific outcomes. I have had a whole section I had to excise to talk about the corruption of the military, the American government, and American companies, all under the guise of inclusion and diversity. Academically, it's been a disaster. There are 3 incidents just from recent weeks: the brutality of All-American swimmer Riley Gaines 2 weeks ago, the shout down of SUNY Albany of Ian Hayworth 3 weeks ago, both in the name of diversity and equity. And on March 9th, the notorious incident at Stanford Law School, student hecklers rudely prevented federal judge Kyle Duncan from speaking. And worse, Stanford Dean for Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion publicly chastised the judge with a prepared spiel. There are countless other incidents of so-called diversity, equity, and inclusion at work. And we all know that insanity is rightly defined as repeating the same behavior and expecting different results. Why? Why would things be any different here at Park City High School and School District? The infrastructure. The board statement introducing the policy enumerates alarming action steps: hiring consultants, teacher trainings, new hires based on identity, not merit, new hires to support implementation. Each of these demand valuable, scarce resources, including time, money, mental bandwidth, office space, and other infrastructure, all of which rob students and educators of things they need to get our kids actually educated, contrary to our mission and vision. Administrative bloat in academia is quite well documented. I'm sure I don't have to lecture you on that. Don't exacerbate it as this proposal would. Across the US each year, hundreds of millions of dollars are spent on diversity programs in US colleges and universities. In Utah alone, that figure is $11 million. How much will this initiative cost? How long will it be in place? How much will it grow? Or is this equity policy, as is the case literally everywhere we know of, a perpetual motion machine, a black hole for resources? The quota system cited are alarming as well. On what identities will hiring be based? Race, gender, something else? It is absolutely terrifying to us that you might put people in the classroom who aren't the very, very best in order to meet misguided good intentions. Lastly, we know it's well-intentioned. You're good people with great intentions, yet the premise is based on junk science. The empirical results of diversity, equity, and inclusion are widely seen to be undesirable or worse. I'm going to close with a quote from Wall Street Journal's Gerard Baker. We are in the grip of an ideology that disowns our genius, denounces our success, disdains merit, elevates victimhood, embraces societal self-loathing, and enforces it all in a web of exclusionary authoritarian rules. Let's not surrender our schools to this, ladies and gentlemen. this so-called equity, diversity, and inclusion. We oppose this policy and ask that it be removed from consideration. Thank you very much.
Jake Joe.
Hey, everybody. I know all of you up here, but I don't know everybody in the room. My name is Dr. Jake Joe. It's my 10th year in the Park City School District. I'm also the co-president of the Park City Education Association. As I wanted to just offer some feedback on the policy. I was a member of the policy writing committee. The equity policy was constructed, through a thorough process over the last 6 months, but more than that over the last number of years. Includes students, many of whom are in the room tonight, some will speak in this public comment, teachers and admin, and community members. And I appreciate that everybody who is up here sharing their thoughts tonight. I'd like to establish what equity means in tangible terms, to offer some perspective on the issues and data points the committee considered when drafting policy. I think the debate on equity tends to obfuscate the nuts and bolts of why it's important. And some examples kind of demonstrate this point. Students being able to read and write is an equity issue. However, many of our multilingual learners enter the district and are enrolled in ESL classes. They then remain in those classes for years, sometimes through all their K-12 education. That is an equity issue that we must solve. The policy would put funding and accountability behind solving this problem and others related to opportunity gaps across our student population. Seeking a diverse faculty is an equity issue. It's important for students of color to see leaders and role models that look like them, but it's just as important that all students have teachers from a variety of social and cultural backgrounds. Young boys benefit from male elementary teachers who can show that masculinity, compassion, and nurturing are not mutually exclusive traits. LGBTQ youth benefit from having queer teachers as role models who show the possibilities of being an adult professional in the LGBTQ community. All students benefit from a diverse faculty. This policy would ask us to look seriously at recruitment and how we can recruit and support our own diverse teaching staff. We'll be a stronger district with more diverse employees. This is true of all organizations, not just school districts. The policy allows us to ascertain the barriers to success and address those barriers, while also identifying what we're already doing well so we can scale, reproduce, and institutionalize those successes. Some programs in Park City are worth celebrating, like Dream Big at PCHS, which has made massive strides in academic performance, college readiness, and college performance for first-generation students. The equity policy provides a guarantee that programs like this, which are directly doing the equity work, that they're funded, institutionally supported, and studied to further scale through the different grade levels. Districts function best when strong policy and procedure allow regular people to do extraordinary work every day. At the moment, too much of our extraordinary work is the result of chance, individual action, and exceptional people. As a result, our overall outcomes and opportunities are too inequitable, too inconsistent, and too reliant on individual efforts. The policy supports a framework for doing equity right, studying what's working, what is not, and continuing to achieve the district mission we created in 2017. Thanks for your time.
Okay, next up is Jose Hernandez Bello.
Hi, I'm Jose Hernandez. I'm a senior at the high school. And I'm also president of Latinos in Action. I've been a member of the Park City community since I was born, my whole life. I've been here for 18 years, and my mom has been here for over 25. I would like to start by saying thank you for hearing us out, and I would like to share with you the perspective of a student who has gone through the school system K through 12. I am not here to share with you a political perspective. I am here to share with you the perspective of an actual student who has chosen to show up today and has lived through these, different experiences. I would like to start by saying that Park City School District has definitely seen a lot of improvement. I think our graduation rates for Latinx students are way higher than they used to be. And for that, I am very proud. I will say that in my experience growing up with English, Spanish learning, English has always been the second language, but despite that, students in LIA have to work harder. And despite that, we are succeeding. And we are members of community, and we are making an impact, and we are contributing. I would like to share a little bit about the mission of Latinos in Action, which is to ensure, for sure, a diverse and equitable environment for all the students. I don't just represent minoritized students, I represent a lot of students who are coming together, for a more equitable future. I recall a specific event when I was in preschool, kindergarten. I was jumping up and down to reach the counter, and I kept telling my teacher, popote, popote, popote. And I think I spent a good 15 minutes over there trying to reach what I was trying to reach, which was a straw. My teacher definitely struggled a bit to understand that I was trying to ask for a straw. Events like that, I will say, sadly follow us every single day. Every day when I wake up and I go to Park City School District, I will say I feel proud that our graduation rates are higher, that many more Latinx students, minoritized students are taking AP classes and succeeding in them. But I don't feel safe. Just the other day, we were having, a spirit week, and we were showcasing the cultures of all the students at our high school. And one of our LIA students heard a student targeted at her, yell, "I hate all Mexicans." That incident right there definitely put that student in a sense of shock. There was a lot of fear and not knowing what to do, not knowing what adult to turn to. And even now, a couple months later, that sticks with me. Part of the reason that I joined this equity policy task force was to share the experience of the students who are, going to Park City High School every day, who have to live through this every single day. And I just think it's unfair. It's unfair to have to work and put in more hours, to succeed in a schools district, in a school system that sadly wasn't built for our success. And it really wasn't. So that is a little bit of my experience, and I can guarantee you that there are way more experiences similar to that one in our school district. I know for a fact that everyone sitting behind me wearing the jackets has experienced something similar. And I think that this policy will ensure that we have somebody to turn to, that we have somebody to ask for help, because as students, as children, we don't always know who to turn to, and sometimes the adults in the room aren't helpful. Incidents like that have happened before, and they will continue to happen, sadly. And before, a lot wasn't done. And I think that this policy ensures responsibility. With that, I would like to end by saying that, please, when you are taking this into consideration, see this policy as way more than just politics. Minoritized students aren't a law. We aren't a bill. We are people, and we show up to school every day, and we want to make an impact, and we want to grow as people. We are way more than just politics. Thank you.
Jessica Loya.
Hi, everyone.
Hi.
My name is Jessica Loya. I'm a junior at the high school, and I am vice president of Latinos in Action this year. I'd also like to say I'm in support of the policy. And I do want to mention the importance of feeling seen within Park City schools. As a Latina student in a predominantly white community, when I was younger, I felt like I was not receiving the support I needed from the school district, emotionally and academically. But it is through inclusive classroom discussions and initiatives that I was able to find my place and voice in the community. It is for this reason that I think it's very important to establish policies that promise support and guidance to future generations of students of color so that they can grow to their fullest potential academically, professionally, and personally. Thank you.
Diane Livingston.
Diane Livingston, I'm a parent of 6 Park City High School students, 5 have already graduated, 1's a senior. So thank you for this opportunity to speak. This policy took a lot of work. Thank you, Gina. It takes a lot of work to get things done. And you write things like that. But I actually feel like these basic ideas have actually been written down for us in our mission statement already. Although policy 1006 is more detailed in its programming, the language and goals of both documents match up quite well. So just let me show you what I mean. When we look at the document, academic success promises developing the potential of every student through data-driven and best learning practices to be academically successful and prepared for life beyond graduation, providing safe, optimal, and equitable learning environments for all students and staff. Sounds familiar? Therefore, yeah. Excellent personnel. Create a culture of respect for all employees through recruiting, retaining, and providing professional development while building the district's leadership capacity. So we're missing the diversity piece. But I'm very confident that Dr. Gilday, that's on her mind. So no matter if we have this or not, that's going to happen. And it has been happening appreciatively. Finally, I'll touch on community alliances, which I'm floored there are so many. Partner with families in the community for the general well-being and education of our collective student base, while including a culture of inclusiveness and respect for the rich diversity of our community. Respect for diversity, equitable learning environments, culture of inclusiveness for all. Sounds familiar. Over the years, I've been aware of many district actions meant to help students see their highest potential. Have we been perfect? Apparently not. And I appreciate the words that you shared today. Really touches my heart. But will this policy really affect measurable change? That's what I want to know. Are we really going to see what we want through this? Let's hear what Harvard Business Review says about the hundreds of DEI programs they've studied. They say, and of course, this was company context, but I believe that the human nature piece is a natural transfer. They say it shouldn't be surprising that most diversity programs aren't increasing diversity. Are we promising those students behind us something we cannot deliver? That's what I want to know. It's fine and nice to say it, but are we promising something we cannot deliver here? Firms have long relied on diversity training to reduce bias, yet laboratory studies show that this kind of force feeding can activate bias rather than stamp it out. And better results are found when they ease up on the control tactics. This is our ease up right here. This is our control tactics. When we seek outcomes through equity lens, which is mandated here in this current draft, it can have negative unintended consequences, such as resentment and division. Those kids already have some division in their life. I'm worried that this policy will actually do the opposite and create even more division. Something that needs to be thought about. Are things perfect now? Apparently not, as has been so beautifully spoken. But I submit that we would be better off to set aside DEI ideals that are just not being proven effective. They're not being found effective all across the country, and stick with teaching kindness with a laser focus on academic excellence. This is what we can offer them. We need to offer them the academic excellence, the best gift any child, diverse or not, can receive.
Okay, Angela Marquetti.
Hi, thank you.
Good evening. My name is Angela Marchetti. I have 2 students in the school district. My oldest graduated last year from the high school. Nearly 5 years ago, we relocated to Park City from Southern California and one of the state's highest performing public school districts. There are several reasons why we left, but one of the main reasons was to escape what was happening in the public schools there. Your proposed equity policy is a repeat of what I saw brewing years before we finally left California. Lots of warm and fuzzy wording, ideas that feel good on paper, but with lofty ambitions that can in no way be achieved. It divided our small town community, pitting parents against each other, which trickled down to the students. Kids started obsessing over skin color and building hierarchies of identities. Our rankings dropped. The focus on academics felt almost secondary. Your mission and vision mentions your commitment to helping students reach their full academic potential. Our district, state, and national rankings have fallen in the past few years. What studies have you examined that prove a policy such as this will improve student success? I've read many articles about states and university systems abandoning such policies because they actually do not change academic outcomes and add nothing but financial bloat. What is the impetus for this policy? Is this something required by an accreditation body? How much will these initiatives cost, and how will you measure the policy's success? The best future for our students is one that teaches them academic excellence and inspires unity, not one that constantly drills into them all the ways they are different or oppressed or privileged. Provide an equal opportunity for learning. Yes, absolutely. But reinforce to them that their own merit is what will lead to a successful outcome. As for the social aspect of public education, your policy need not be any more complicated than the golden rule. Those students who violate it should accept responsibility for their own actions and face real consequences. Last June, my daughter graduated from PCHS with a 4.1 GPA, got many scholarships, etc. We never received letters or emails recognizing her academic achievements throughout her high school years. Nothing on the graduation brochure or during the ceremony acknowledged the school's highest achievers. There seems to be no effort from the district to incentivize its students to strive to excel academically. Is this because of a fear of not appearing inclusive? Speaking of inclusivity, why have you failed to include political viewpoint in your definition of diversity? That very obvious omission in itself makes one suspicious of this policy. And it seems a lot of the writers are here, so that would be a great question to answer. Lastly, as a mom with 2 sons still in your district, I urge you to focus on academic excellence as a measure of student, teacher, and district success. Thank you.
Tracy Sheridan.
So before I came here, I asked myself, why does this matter to teachers? And in my case, as an interventionist. So I have been an educator for almost 19 years. And I've taught in 3 different schools, kindergarten through 8th grade, in special education, as a classroom teacher, as a reading specialist, as an ESL coordinator, and now as an interventionist. And it's important to note that I spent the last 4.5 years leaning into the very uncomfortable conversation of education equity and cultural diversity as I pursued a dual master's degree in this. This is my 2nd year in the school district, and here is what I've witnessed. We are doing a lot of things right here. We have a ton of resources. As Dr. Jill mentioned today, we have so many great community partnerships that we can utilize all the time to help our kids grow. Our kids are growing academically. They're learning. I feel safe. I think most students, although not all students feel safe, right? The general population students are growing. However, as the general population of students grow, the gap for our diverse and often marginalized population of students, those gaps widen. Let me explain. Teachers are kind of floundering a bit because many teachers feel a bit ill-equipped to meet the needs of our fastest growing population of students. Our fastest growing population of students are students that are multilingual learners and students with disabilities. Those are students with neurodivergent needs that we didn't learn about when we received our bachelor's degrees in education. When I say ill-equipped, I mean we lack the very basics, those policies and procedures that serve our greatest needs. The Park City School District has been leading the way for the last few years, gathering stakeholders, teachers like myself, community members, administrators, and creating a group of people to make changes. Part of those changes was to form a committee to make policies, to start making changes that create equitable change. We need this policy in place so that we address the inequities throughout our district and our schools, so that we can move toward creating procedures to support all students as a means to create lifelong learners and access for all of our students with high standards and personalized learning. I heard something from one of my favorite authors, Glennon Doyle, and she said that in the 1960s, only 26% of people agreed with Dr. King. Do you know what that percentage is today? It's 95%. What side of history do we want to be on? Our students have come here today, they've told us that they're struggling. This is not about politics, okay? Our teachers are struggling. The policies are going to set the stage for us to do the right thing in the classrooms. We're all here because of them. We care and we want to make the changes that we need to do the right thing. Thank you.
All right, thank you all for coming and sharing your thoughts. I think this is the beginning of an ongoing discussion. Okay, yes, the two public forums. The first one is April 25th at 10 o'clock here at the district office. The second is May 2nd at Ecker Hill. There's two sessions, one in English at 5:30 and one in Spanish at 6:30. There's also an ability to provide feedback, I believe, online.
It's right there.
Okay. Yeah, okay, perfect. Yeah, I would just say, it's an interesting conversation. I think, there's certainly an aspect of it that is political, and then there's a human aspect of it. And, the one thing I'd say is, like, in the time that I've been on the board, and certainly predating me, equity has always been a part of what we do here at this district. And I think everyone probably agrees that, we all want the best outcomes for all students. I don't think anyone here disagrees with that. And it's about, I think, making everyone heard. And this is a somewhat uncomfortable and scary topic for everyone involved. And I think we need to be conscious of that and respectful of it and people's differences. And I think I look forward to continuing the conversation as a community. I think it's definitely an important one. So thanks, everyone. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn until our next. Well, actually, we're probably going to have catch up on comp once we get back to the associations. So we're going to need a closed session. I would think maybe is either next week or the week after. Maybe the first week of May, just to give it a little bit of time. What's people's availability that week? We could either do a morning one. I think afternoon is easier, but I know for Anne during school hours is the best. Maybe we budget like an hour's worth of time.
I could do that. in the meeting, so.
Okay, so May first,
I can't.
you can't do the first.
They choose their Wednesday pretty good. For you. So we go
Are you out Tuesday and Wednesday? What about Thursday?
After 10 o'clock.
Thursday after 10, you can do it.
I can use Thursday. Yeah, then. 11.
Yeah, and then
Let me just check.
Summer.
yeah.
We're having.
I can do that. All right, so let's schedule that in Thursday, the 4th at 11, Lori, for closed session. And we'll send that out to them as well. So I'll entertain a motion to adjourn until Thursday, the 4th at 11 a.m. For a closed session to discuss some issues.
I made the motion to adjourn until. May 4th.
Second. All right, all in favor? Aye. Okay, meeting is adjourned. Thanks, guys.